I mean, it's amazing. What Caitlyn's been able to do in her short career so far has just been nothing short of remarkable.
This matchup between yourself and Diana Taurasi.
I'm just happy we won. It was cool to play against her, and obviously a really great game.
At just 23 years old, Caitlyn Clark has transformed the world of women's basketball. Leading the league in fast break points and showcasing her outstanding shooting range, she set multiple records during her college career, including becoming the all-time leading scorer in both men's and women's basketball history. In a time when women's basketball often goes neglected, Caitlyn is drawing crowds from all over the country, with fans traveling great distances just to see her play. It's no exaggeration to claim that she's the most significant figure the WNBA has ever encountered. A single moment of her gameplay makes it clear why she commands such attention. While the WNBA's so-called GOAT, Diana Taurasi, has made some controversial comments about her, it's evident that Caitlyn Clark is a force to be reckoned with. Diana Taurasi is making efforts to take the attention off Caitlyn Clark and place it on her own achievements. It's truly demoralizing to realize that Diana Taurasi, who was once one of Caitlyn Clark's idols during her formative years, never reached out to offer support after Clark was drafted as the consensus #1 pick in the WNBA. Clark had always looked up to Taurasi as one of the pioneering figures in women's basketball. Instead of providing guidance or motivation, instead of acknowledging her impressive skills, Taurasi opted to downplay Clark's abilities, seeing them as less significant than they truly were. On June 30th, 2024, Diana was poised to witness a groundbreaking event in women's basketball, a moment that would leave a lasting impact. The influence of one unique individual that has disrupted the entire ecosystem of women's sports. That day in Phoenix was blisteringly hot, but despite this, 177,000 fans converged on the Footprint Center, excited to see a true superstar in action. For Caitlyn, it was just another day at the office, soaking in the excitement of her fans and graciously signing autographs for all who came to support her. For Diana Taurasi, despite her impressive 20-year career, this game was arguably the most pivotal moment she had ever experienced in the WNBA. It took place in front of the largest audience since 1997. Just think about that. She was part of extraordinary events in her career. But this night, front row tickets were sold for an astonishing $2,000 each, and courtside seats reached similar prices. To put this in context, the Minnesota Lynx, the leading team in the Western Conference and a fan favorite in the WNBA, usually sells courtside tickets for around $257. Taurasi understood the importance of this game and realized that history was being made right before her eyes as she introduced herself to a future mythical figure. At the start of the game, Diana couldn't contain her joy. She was fully in control, achieving everything she wanted whenever she pleased. Scoring came naturally to her, and she was also accumulating assists. By accumulating assists, I mean she was simply passing to the 6'9" Brittany Griner, who stood above all the players on the court. As I mentioned, DT had a strong start, but as the game evolved, she began to feel the pressure and truly realized the extent of the Caitlyn Clark phenomenon. Clark was still trying to find her rhythm, and then she sank her first three from the logo. Not long after, DT must have been even more shocked as Caitlyn left everyone in disbelief by completely breaking the ankles of her teammate Rebecca Allen. When I first saw that, the first thought that came to mind was, what if that had been Diana? And what if the shot had gone in? After a dynamic start from Mercury, Caitlyn sparked a comeback for the Fever. Indiana began to rally, with Taurasi trying to respond to Caitlyn's impressive play at the end of the first quarter, but it didn't go as she had hoped. Her shot was short. At this point, Taurasi was feeling the pressure, and the atmosphere inside was more and more charged. Caitlyn's performance only boosted. While Taurasi had a fair game, I was left underwhelmed by her performance. Despite her status as the WNBA's so-called GOAT, she seemed intimidated by Caitlyn throughout the game. From what I observed, she only challenged Caitlyn once during a pick and roll, where Caitlyn appeared to make a clean steal, but the referee ruled it a foul. After reviewing that play several times, I still couldn't see any foul. And it appears that the referees are once again unfairly focusing on Caitlyn. Earlier in the game, they made a suspicious call, labeling it an offensive foul against her, which was clearly ridiculous. To me, that looked more like a defensive foul. I couldn't understand that decision. Fans are increasingly voicing their discontent with WNBA referees over their contentious calls against Caitlyn. My disappointment in Taurasi stemmed from her passive-aggressive comments about Caitlyn, yet she consistently steered clear of any real confrontation. Time after time, when she had the chance to defend Caitlyn, she opted for silence. Take for instance the moment when she could have guarded the player she claimed would struggle against more experienced opponents. Instead, she handed off the defensive task to a teammate. This was a recurring theme whenever she faced Caitlyn. While it's true that her teammate might have been a more skilled defender, if you consider yourself the greatest, you need to rise to the occasion. Michael Jordan never hesitated to defend Kobe, even in his later years. Perhaps DT was concerned about facing embarrassment or didn't want to suffer the same fate as her injured teammate. The pressure of 177,000 fans might have been daunting, but ultimately, she shied away from the challenge I was hoping to see all game long. To add to Diana's problems, Caitlyn was relentless on the court. For example, after DT missed a three-pointer, Caitlyn grabbed the opportunity, driving the ball up the court and sinking an impressive three from deep. On the very next play, she cleverly lured Diana into a steal and then delivered a perfect assist to her teammate. Despite Taurasi's claims that Caitlyn's style wouldn't work, she was proving to be a nightmare for Diana, making her look completely outmatched. The Phoenix Mercury were ahead by 15 points at one stage in the second half, only for Caitlyn to lead a remarkable comeback. Caitlyn Clark was the driving force behind the Fever's resurgence, compounding Diana's frustration. She played a significant part in her team's defeat. For instance, after missing a three-pointer, she was slow to return on defense, resulting in a flagrant foul that awarded Indiana 2 free throws and possession. As the game drew to a close, Taurasi had an opportunity to increase her team's lead, but only converted one of her 2 free throws. Meanwhile, she watched as Caitlyn effortlessly sank both of her attempts. In that moment, the confidence that once marked Diana's demeanor vanished, replaced by a whirlwind of thoughts. Diana, who had previously underestimated Clark, now found herself confronted with defeat in front of 177,000 fans, with millions more likely watching it on television. To add to her woes, the Fever had not secured a victory against any team with a winning record all season, and their first win came at the expense of Diana's team. After bragging about her team's capabilities, she was now experiencing a humbling moment. Following the game, she finally acknowledged Caitlyn's impressive achievements in her brief career, describing them as nothing less than remarkable. Later in the season, the Fever triumphed over the Mercury with a score of 98-89 in Indianapolis, where Clark delivered an impressive performance, scoring 29 points on 8 of 16 shooting, along with 10 assists and 5 rebounds. Ultimately, the Fever secured a clean sweep in their 3 regular season matchups against the Mercury, finishing with a 95-86 victory. The Phoenix Mercury playfully called out Caitlyn Clark with a TikTok video ahead of their last game against the Indiana Fever. In the video, a young fan expressed excitement for Taurasi, followed by highlights of her impressive shots on the court. She stated, "Who's Caitlyn? I'm here for Taurasi."
I miss the WNBA. Caitlyn, where are you?
Who's Caitlyn? I'm here for Taurasi.
As the Fever's victory against the Mercury drew to a close, Taurasi approached Clark and wrapped her arm around her during a free throw attempt, creating a memorable moment on the court. Will this be the final matchup between the two in their careers, with Taurasi being 42? In any case, Clark and the Fever certainly had the upper hand over Taurasi and the Mercury. It's clear that Caitlyn Clark has made a name for herself, and they now know who Caitlyn is. Caitlyn Clark achieved one more significant milestone in her rookie season. Against the Lynx, she hit her 103rd three-pointer of the season, setting a new record for the most three-pointers made in a single season in Fever history. Furthermore, Clark surpassed legends Diana Taurasi and Sabrina Ionescu in the record books for the most games in a season with at least 25 points, 5 assists, and 5 made three-pointers. This accomplishment highlights Clark's exceptional talent and signals a new era for the WNBA. In summary, Caitlyn Clark's record-breaking performances, consistent excellence, ability to handle pressure, versatile skill set, and inspirational impact on young people all contribute to her potential to become a legendary player in the WNBA. Keep an eye on her as she continues to make history and leave her mark on the league.